Hello and welcome to the Accounting Apps podcast. My name is Heather Smith. It's been a minute, but I felt I should share with you something about Nashville Xerocon, as I always do a conference write-up and podcast, and it would be remiss of me not to stamp this moment in time. Here goes. This was my fourth International Xerocon and my fourth Xerocon that I've spoken at, which I was extremely grateful about. In 2024, Xero hosted two conferences, one in London and one in Nashville, and my wallet only stretched to Nashville. So I did not attend the 2024 London Xerocon, though funnily enough, a lot of people, even those who went, thought I was there. So I am somewhat omnipresent, I guess. A number of people told me they were disappointed with the 2024 London Xerocon, mainly around something that I've commented on before, the wrap party, which isn't kind of a wrap party the way that they run it. They also mentioned that they found it salesy, but I'm not sure exactly what that relates to. So the UK choose to have the main party on day one. This means that people tend to leave day one conference early and they arrive late for day two. Having sort of the late night wrap party midway through an event is energy draining. It means that there's significantly less time for exhibitors to connect with attendees. And a number of exhibitors and attendees expressed to me their disappointment with London Xerocon, which is a real shame. I personally had a brilliant time at the 2022 London Xerocon, though I did notably arrive late on day two, which is something that is unheard of for me. I slept in and I arrived late. I never sleep in. It's like the first day in 5 years I'd slept in, but just kind of a real shame about that. So you may recall in 2022, I attended 3 Xerocons, London, New Orleans and Sydney, and I wanted to make it clear that in 2024, I only put on my Xero blue cowboy hat and attended Nashville Xerocon. Yeehaw! I'm glad I chose to attend Nashville Xerocon. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was never a destination on my bucket list, and I'll probably never go again. However, when I attend an overseas conference, I make the most of it. I arrived a few days early and took the opportunity to be a tourist in the town. The weather was warm and sweaty. I visited the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Frist Art Museum, Germantown, and walked up and down Broadway Street, which was filled with lots of live music venues owned by music stars like John Bon Jovi, Miranda Lambert, and Kid Rock. The Nashville bars on Broadway Street are known as Honky Tonks, which is both a bar that provides country music and a style of music. I had no idea that honky tonk actually referred to bars. I think the Rolling Stones song Honky Tonk Woman perhaps led me astray. That song is about a free-spirited woman who frequents honky-tonk bars. The central district of Nashville was quite neatly laid out, so we were able to easily navigate from our hotel to the conference venue and to the surrounding parties and activities. Nashville is famous for its southern-style cooking. Think barbecues and briskets and green beans and Brussels sprouts and just the most delicious Tex-Mex. They have this meal called chicken waffle, which is like Kentucky Fried Chicken on a waffle with syrup, which scares me on so many levels. Nashville is also home to and famous for hot chicken. You coat raw chicken in intense cayenne pepper heat rub, then you soak it in buttermilk and pickle juice, and then you fry it. I don't personally take hot foods, but it does sound quite exciting, doesn't it? As you can probably guess, the theme of Xerocon Nashville Conference was all things country. Yeehaw! We were immersed in all things country during our time there. It felt like the whole city was in perpetual honky-tonk party mode. Nashville party buses filled with people singing and drinking started at 10 a.m. in the morning, and they went all day, up and down the streets. People arrived at the conference in country boots and country-style clothes. There was line dancing sessions on the floor throughout the day. We were given this gaudy cyan blue cowboy hat to bedazzle and a cute denim jeans bag as a gift. As we walked around the streets of Nashville, it was really easy to see the other attendees. The lanyards or the giant blue Xero hats stood out. This meant we could connect and start conversations with people maybe we might not have otherwise met. And there was a really good vibe and ambience to the conference. The conference was held at the Music City Centre. The venue was quite a simple layout to navigate. Xerocon Nashville is much smaller than Xerocons held in Australia. If you think back to 2012 size era, there were about 1,000 people in attendance, with 70 from Australia and a good few from the UK. It was a great opportunity to meet accountants from other countries. I knew so many people, which was both a good thing and a bad thing. I felt I only got a selfie second with a few hundred people. Reflecting here, there are benefits from going to intimate or smaller conferences where you can have longer conversations with people. Day one of the conference opened with Dave's Highway, a country music band singing Jolene and other country songs, and there was country music dancing around them. And Dave's Highway are actually a Xero customer, and their accountant is actually a friend of mine. Day two opened with Scotty Scarano doing a rap about Xero, which was quite brilliant. And if you click through to my show notes, you can see a link to the rap so you can watch it. I encourage you to connect with both Dave's Highway and Scotty Scarano in the relevant places. As you'd expect, the Xero leaders all spoke. The CEO, Sukhinder Singh Cassidy, put the investor page on the screen, highlighting key strategic initiatives, sort of in a 3x3 grid. 3 core markets, US, UK and AU, notably US first and AU last. And the 3 core functionalities that they're focused on: accounting, payroll and payments, getting paid and paying your vendors. Many of the product announcements was US-centric, and the US people were excited that they could see definite commitment to their needs from Xero. And in the days following the conference, sort of in the days and the weeks following the conference, I've seen a lot of people very excited in their commentary about that. Initially, back in the day when Xero emerged, it said everyone is going to get the same solution and you all need to adapt to this modern bookkeeping methodology. With a new leadership, and there are a lot of new leaders in place, Xero, are not shackled to that philosophy. There's a term, globalization, which refers to adapting global products, services or ideas to fit local cultures, preferences and needs. So a company modifies their global strategies to resonate with specific regional markets. Of course, Xero has to offer localized compliance and payroll, but it appears that it is going deeper with some of its core functionality. An example of this is changing the way bank reconciliations will work. In the US, you will now be able to reconcile to a bank statement period. You'll be able to specify a date range and set an opening and closing balance from your bank statement. Currently, the lack of reconciling to an opening and closing balance of a bank statement has been the number one objection from US accountants for the past 14 years. The source of that data is the Accounting Podcast, Blake Oliver and David Leary, and I'll pop a link to the show notes of that podcast. This means if a US user is reconciling client books across multiple different software solutions, they don't have to get their head around doing it in a different way. So in case I've not made it clear enough, the Xero way will now be similar to all the other popular US accounting software methodologies. This banking reconciliation feature will now be offered in the US, but controversially, not in other jurisdictions. Many of the true blue Xero users don't want this functionality offered in Australia, citing that it will make us go backwards. But I note in the general accounting forums, a number of people commented that they would not use Xero without this functionality. Maybe, like in the US, when decisions are being made, the non-users should actually be consulted. Maybe it should be a setting option offered globally. So other announcements included Xero Inventory Plus with integrations with Amazon and Shopify, making it easier to manage inventory across multiple channels. Again, this is just for the US, and my inventory expert friends have beta tested this and they rave about it. So that's great. They also talked about enhanced payment features that are in the beta, so worth reading the media releases on this. I'll pop them all in the show notes. Here in Australia, in terms of enhanced payments, we do now have access to tap to pay on Android devices, which is exactly how it sounds. So I enabled tap to pay on my Android device. I have a Google Pixel. So I can now accept contactless payments to my invoices. I created a test invoice for 50 cents, so that's the minimum amount required. I processed the payment, and it includes a processing fee of 1.75%. So it ended up charging the payor, which was effectively me because I was beta testing it, 51 cents. The total time to set this up and process the payment was less time than it takes to boil the kettle. So definitely something that you can easily do if it suits you, and something that you can talk to your clients about. Maybe we should get Natalie Lennon to create a TikTok video on how to do that, because it was very, very quick. So, what do you think of the new Xero product announcements? Let me know in the comments, or send me a message on social media. Now, let's shift gears to talk about the innovation I saw from the exhibitors. In terms of innovation, there have been a number of solutions offering multi-entity solutions offering a multi-entity solution to a varying degree. From the simplicity of collating financials in spreadsheets to robust solutions that offer collation across multiple areas and the ability to drill down in the detail. So I caught up with Andre and Maria from Xerocon. They gave me some lovely branded Xerocon shot glasses, which are sitting on my shelves. Xerocon is a solution that syncs your GL data with Google spreadsheets. So sort of very simple, quick, easy way to sort of get your consolidation happening. I also spoke to with the Join team, that's Join with a double I, who consolidate your reports in Microsoft Excel. Sift Analytics, who have just recently been acquired by Xero, they offer the ability to consolidate entities and aid with the elimination of intercompany transactions and balances. I caught up with James Irving, who's head of sales for Fathom. Fathom is a plug-and-play analysis, reporting, forecasting, and consolidation software solution. So it integrates with all the platforms you would expect and want it to, and it offers multi-entity reporting. So that's definitely one to have a look at. And one of the newer players on the block is Translucent, who are a compound solution, which means when you consolidate, it's like you're building Lego blocks of data. So you're able to drill down into a lot more detail. So there you have a lot of interesting solutions in the multi-entity space, which really seems to be where a lot of the innovation is happening. And so you can look at them and choose one depending on your needs and your budget. Now, another solution that Rob Stone, who you may know from, who used to be in the Xero office in Sydney, he asked me to take a look at, was called AppVentory, which enables and empowers you to roll out advisory. I thought it was quite different to the other offerings we've heard about, and I had quite an extensive discussion about Appventory on the No Accounting for Tech podcast episode 23, and that was with Tom Herbert, Blake Oliver, and David Leary. So I'll drop a link into the show notes so you get to listen to me, but you can also have these other resources to go and explore. And that's a great episode as well. We recorded that in Las Vegas just last week. I'm also going to mention that my wonderful husband was able to join me to attend Xerocon for a week. They offered a buy one, get one free Xerocon ticket offer, and I managed to score him a free ticket. So we were very grateful for that. Now, to set the scene, he is a consultant, but not an accountant or a bookkeeper. But he's a smart guy. He has an awareness of the industry and technology, and goodness gracious, bless his cotton socks, he listens to all of my podcast episodes. So shout out to him. He'll be in the car finding out that I've talked about him on the podcast. What a wonderful husband, hey? That's how you get to 30 years of marriage. Listen to your wife's podcast. So he sat in on a number of the demonstrations on the exhibition floor. So he went off and he just sort of explored the conference on his own some of the time. So unfortunately, he felt that many of the presenters did not understand what they were talking about, did not understand the industry, and were working off a script, which is ouch. It's really unfortunate. Such a massive waste of money and lost opportunity. So I'm a certified trainer and I've taught at universities and training college, and training is not simply speaking or speaking from a script. It's really sort of this structured knowledge transfer and sort of skill development, and I'm sort of appreciating the holistic environment of the person in the audience, why they're there, what they're trying to get, and using the sort of the same words that they understand, which may sometimes not be the words that you use internally. It does concern me that a lot of the webinars and the training sessions seem to be run by people who are more focused on harvesting lists than providing quality education. And sort of I understand that, but there does need to sort of be some balance there on that. So I'd really like to see improvement in that area, and that's coming from someone else, not necessarily from me there. Okay. Quick word from our sponsors. Stay on top of the latest Accounting Apps news by signing up for the Accounting Apps newsletter at accountingapps.io and join the Accounting Apps Mastermind group. Today's episode is brought to you by ApprovalMax. If you're looking to streamline your financial controls across accounts receivable and payable, ApprovalMax has you covered. On average, it cuts approval times by 85% and boosts AP efficiency by up to 50%. With ApprovalMax, you can swiftly approve vendor bills, purchase orders, expense reports, vendor return authorizations, and sales orders. It simplifies complex approval workflows with automated routing and lets you design multi-level approval processes with ease. Discover more about how ApprovalMax can transform your business by visiting ApprovalMax.com. Now let's get back to today's podcast. So, speaking at my first International Xerocon was quite a milestone. As you may be aware, I frequently will pitch to speak at conferences. So I had pitched a number of sessions to the content organisers, and one of them evolved to be Global Leaders Assemble, which was part of the Build a Modern Practice stream, which they ran on day one. The discussion was expertly facilitated by the Managing Director of North America, Ben Richmond, and the fellow panellists that joined me on stage were Jeff Phillips from the US, Shane Duke from Canada, Emma Reid from the UK, and Kaya Patel from New Zealand. I actually ended up spending a lot of time with Kaya. Really interesting, smart guy. as was everyone. Jeff Phillips and I have known each other for many years, as I have with Ben Richmond as well. So very fortunate there. So, as you'd expect, at the start of the sessions, we all had to introduce ourselves, and I'm going to give you a speaker's tip. As part of my speaking preparations, I make an effort to understand where I am speaking, who I am speaking to, so I can weave in something into my talk to kind of localize it. So I started off by saying, when I visited the Nashville Country Music Museum, there was a sign up that said, music was a global language. Music is a global language. Love is a global language. And accounting is a global language. And I kind of went on that I was really interested to be on this panel and hear how everyone was approaching accounting in their countries and how it has evolved the same and somewhat differently. But hopefully you can see that I kind of started that very differently probably to what the audience expected and sort of perhaps piqued their interest in that concept of something being global. But it doesn't need to be what I said there. It could be anything. You could be referring to a sports team, or we could have referred to hot chicken or something like that. But I was kind of pleased with myself that I managed to weave that in. As the session went on, for my part, everyone sort of talked about different areas and we all sort of then contributed. Everyone led a discussion on different areas and then we all contributed to it. So I led a discussion on how Australians are doing a really good job of being lifestyle first. I talked about how many holidays we get a year, which is 4 to 5 weeks of paid annual leave per year, 10 to 13 public holidays per year, and 37.5 hour work week is standard. So to add to that, I sort of navigated spending 28 days in the USA around Nashville. The work we do is flexible, and I sort of navigated traveling in the US for 28 days, which is, very much beneficial to our lifestyle. And I'll also just throw in there that my son, who is 27 with his fiance, while I was in the USA, he was spending a month in Tokyo, exploring Tokyo. And again, so it is very accepted in the Australian workplace to take off an extended period of time and go on holiday. And I know this is not the same for other people. So I really want to emphasize that my son, 27, works at Deloitte's, took a month off to travel around Tokyo while I was spending a month in the USA. And I was, I call it a workation. I was doing a bit of work, but a lot of lifestyle weaved into work. So I also talked about how many of us, and I really want to sort of notably mention that men as well, so when I talk about us, actively talk about mental health and wellness. It's part of our vocabulary, and we're not perfect. We have not perfected this, but we are definitely moving in the right direction, and it's definitely an active part of our conversations almost on a daily basis. I know that this is very different to what's happening in the US and the UK, and afterwards many people came up to me that they were shocked by the data I shared, and they said they really needed to rethink what they were doing. So, hopefully that's a great outcome for a few people who heard that and who that sort of, could absorb what I was saying there. Travel is good. Taking time off work is good. It makes you better when you go back to work to do that, and sort of being concerned for your own mental health and wellness is good. So beforehand, before my talk, I practiced a lot. I went upstairs to the sort of the top area of the conference, and I just paced myself back and forth, practicing what I would say. And I felt the session went really well. I was really happy to do it on on day one, kind of sort of get it out of the way and enjoy the rest of the conference. All the panelists actively listened to each other, and we did a really good job of bouncing off one another, and everyone shared really insightful and interesting content. Everyone shared insightful and interesting content. So this year, for the first time ever, the side sessions were recorded. So if you have a ticket to Xerocon, you can go back and watch them. So I've gone back and watched my sessions, and the recordings are really high quality. So I encourage you to check them out. There are a number of events happening around Xerocon. So when I attend a destination conference, I try to make an effort to attend as many business events that happen around the conference so I can tag more of the days I'm away as business days, but also it is very enriching for what I'm doing. So on Monday, a number of us attended the Chartered Accountants Worldwide inaugural Nashville chapter launch, which was very interesting. Got to meet some interesting people, and we actually had it in the NASBAR offices, which I was quite excited about. On Tuesday, the day before Xerocon, there are a lot of events, and my calendar was chockers, which is an Australian word for very full. Okay, so chockers. Calendar was chockers. I was invited to an exclusive lunch hosted by the lovely team at ApprovalMax. It was an opportunity to catch up with some of their international team, some of their partners. And so ApprovalMax is a B2B software platform which is used to build robust financial controls, in case you were not aware. Xero organised a local small business event driving productivity through small business digitalisation, and we had the opportunity to hear from and connect with politician representatives from the Mayor's office, from local small businesses, so politicians, representatives from the Mayor's office, and local small Nashville businesses. So I'm a really curious person, and I appreciated that both of these events gave us an opportunity to learn from real Nashvillians. I was smiling from ear to ear. And the actual building that was held in, it was a beautiful, beautiful old ornate building that you would kind of see in one of those 18th century films. And it was actually the base for the suffragettes in Nashville, and they had a few signages up about that. That was kind of exciting. And there were some massive statues celebrating the suffragettes of Nashville. In the evening, we attended the Ignition Precon. Guy Pearson greeted us at the door of the Ole Red, a Honky Tonk spot in downtown Nashville, which was owned by country music superstar and The Voice host Blake Shelton. So it's quite funny to see Guy Pearson as the bouncer on, what is it? Is it Boundary Street, on Broadway Street, Nashville's Broadway Street? That was quite funny. The party, the Precon, was our first opportunity to catch up with a mass of people ahead of a busy few days. So many thanks to the Ignition team, who also gave me a stylish backpack, bottle, and a sleep mask, a lovely sleep mask. After day one, a few of us were invited to a VIP partner drinks hosted at the Whiskey River Saloon by Project Works. So Project Works is a solution out of New Zealand that is a professional services automation software, and I shall be doing a few recordings with them coming up in the podcast, which you can listen to. Now, throughout the conference, Noel Tofino, the managing partner of My Accounts, of the My Accounts team, who, along with several sponsors, organised a number of honky tonk boot skirting activities for the Australian accounting community. So I didn't really understand this, but so I asked Noel to explain it to me. His business, My Accounts, offers day-to-day bookkeeping through to complete accounts department with CFO services. And one of the things he does is kind of offer these services to support other accounting firms. So he'd organised with Hammerjacks and My Accounts to sponsor, they started us off by organising a food coma, by organising a Tennessee barbecue lunch at Martin's Barbecue Joint. So imagine smoked barbecue with all the trimmings, shots of pickled juice. Yuck, did not try that one. And pecan pie. Try the pecan pie. I love pecan pie. The National Audits Group sponsored a whiskey tasting and distillery tour. And Hall and Chadwick sponsored an evening in a honky tonk country music venue. So if you're in a honky tonk, they provide you with a menu of songs the band can sing and a QR code. You scan the code, you choose the song, and you pay US $20 for a song of your choice. So that was a novel way to earn money and sort of contribute to the vibe. If you are part of the Australian accounting industry, I recommend you connect with Noel Tofino on LinkedIn, as he's always organising a lot of interesting, little bit different events in our industry. The wrap party was held on day 2, which we like, and it was held at Luke's 32 Bridge, a honky tonk bar owned by country music star Luke Bryan. It was set across 4 levels. I got in early. I always get in early. I got a photo with Dolly Parton, found a seat in front of the Mechanical Bull Entertainment and did not shift for the evening. The Mechanical Bull looked deceptively easy, but people came off quick, and the next day people showed me their bruises. Ouch. I did not give it a go. From an accountant's perspective, I was impressed at how many music stars had an interest in the honky-tonk bars on Broadway Street. Nashville is known as the Music City and is home to more than 180 recording studios, more than 150 live music venues, and there are about 56,000 jobs in Nashville tied to the music industry. The music industry contributes over $15.9 billion annually to Nashville's economy. So I really have a new appreciation for country music and the business of country music. I think Keith Urban is a lot richer than I ever imagined, and maybe we should have an accounting conference in Tamworth, Australia. So after a big destination conference, I like to take the opportunity to travel, decompress, and reflect on what I learned. So after Nashville, I took the opportunity and a 2-hour flight to visit New York for 10 days. We actually had a holiday booked in New York for May 2020. And you all know what happened then. So it took us 4 years to eventually replace this trip, and I was really grateful that we could. As an extra treat, I had a number of extra treats. I caught up with the wonderful Lisa Martin, a New Zealand accountant extraordinaire, at the Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, and we watched the New York Yankees, and we talked all things accounting and bookkeeping over Cracker Jacks and pretzels. So, interesting fact, when the Yankees win at their home stadium, they play Frank Sinatra singing the Leonard Bernstein song, New York, New York. When the Yankees lose, they play the fabulous Liza Minnelli singing the same song. So you may recall she starred in the 1977 Martin Scorsese film New York, New York alongside Robert De Niro. I also was absolutely delighted to spend time and catch up with the wonderful Catherine Walker, who was one of the original founding members of Xero. So I was able to catch up and spend a lot of time with her. So that's wonderful. Catherine Walker is a leader in creating communities, and there's another podcast in my series that you can sort of go back and search if that's something that you are doing, creating a community, and go and listen to it. So as I wrap up this podcast, I'd like to share a list with you I've curated over the years of the many benefits of connecting with accountants overseas. So I see, as I've stressed, accounting is a global language. And by attending these conferences, there's a lot of things you can do in terms of connecting with accountants overseas. They can assist you with supporting clients expand globally. They can help you attract. It can help you attract global clients, staff, and partners. It can provide you with mentoring opportunities, both around business development and appreciation of how different countries' landscapes have evolved. It can expose you to new ideas, new perspectives, trends, environments, solutions, processes, and allow you to sort of evolve your thoughts or adopt best practices. Just even like, as I said, the country music band sent around had a QR code. Like, I've never seen that. Perhaps you've seen that. I've never seen that happen in Australia or beyond. So just little things like that you could talk to your clients about. Connecting with accountants overseas gives you the opportunity to share staff during opposing busy and slow seasons, which I know people are already doing. It gives you that wonderful opportunity to collaborate, create friendships, an extended network, a sounding board. And when you sort of go to conferences, it's normally lots of progressive people are there. They are amazing people. They're inspirational human beings, and you can connect with them. And sometimes it's easier if you have issues that you're dealing with to explore them with someone who's kind of outside of your country, and they can perhaps help you with a different perspective on that. It gives you the opportunity to learn about different business cultures and potentially a tax-deductible workation. So I also joined the Two Drunk Accountants podcast, and they talked about the tax implications of a destination conference. And I'll drop in the show notes a link you can listen to via a link in the show notes. You can actually listen to that episode, so you can hear about the tax implications, because that's not something I'd talk to. So thank you to everyone who made this a memorable experience. I hope you have enjoyed listening to the podcast or reading the transcript. I hope for those who attended, it was a lovely reflection on the event. And for those of you who did not attend, hopefully I've shared some learnings and some insights, so it feels like you were actually there. If you did enjoy this episode, could you please subscribe and share it with a fellow accountant? That would be wonderful. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Heather Smith. I'm the host of the Accounting Apps podcast.